Hello, I'm Dr. Amy H. Sturgis, and in recent years I have been reading, researching, writing about, and teaching dark academia literature. Today it is my pleasure to make the case to you why you should read dark academia. So let's get started. One note I should make before we dive in. I will be talking about the storytelling tradition of dark academia, not the more recent dark academia aesthetic. While the two are related, they also reflect different and contrasting purposes, and I'll be discussing that distinction a bit more as we go along. For this presentation, I will be drawing on points I've shared in my essay, Dark Arts and Secret Histories, Investigating Dark Academia, which was published in the 2023 academic anthology, Potterversity, and also in my graduate course on dark academia at Signum University. It's worth noting from the start that although dark academia is a relatively new term, the phenomenon it describes is not. Dark academia as a storytelling tradition has deep roots. Readers loved dark academia before that label existed. You could say the genre stretches back into the 19th century, back at least as far as 1818, to Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley's tale of an obsessed student who abandons his university studies and the academic norms it provided to pursue his taboo research, and the deadly tragedies that follow from his failure to take responsibility for that research. Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus. As ancestor texts for genres go, it is hard to think of a more impressive work than Frankenstein, which is also considered a classic of Gothic, science fiction, and horror storytelling. And there's a point we'll come back to as well. Dark academia is a genre, but it works well with others too. Think of it as a flavor, a tradition that spreads out across other categories, like mysteries and thrillers and crime fiction, coming of age works and historical fiction, adult stories and young adult tales, fantasy and science fiction. Stories are often more than one thing, and dark academia works are no exception. Back to Frankenstein. Goldie Moldavsky seems to nod to the long tradition in her own 2021 contribution to dark academia. Following a Latina scholarship student and trauma survivor as she seeks a new start at a school on Manhattan's wealthy Upper East Side, Goldovsky's novel shares a name with the secret society the student joins, the Mary Shelley Club. This reference appropriately connects the dots of the genre and brings it full circle. And the way Goldovsky develops the Mary Shelley Club delivers a chilling mystery tale with both scares and substance. There are terrific works rightly hailed as modern classics that fit in this tradition. An outstanding and perhaps lesser known work of dark academia, one to which I keep returning, is Shirley Jackson's Hangs a Man from 1951. This novel offers a disturbing study of a traumatized and troubled freshman's psychological unraveling at a small liberal arts college. Its themes and critiques about the institutional and individual forces at work against the main character during her journey to uncover her essential self make it deeply relevant, important, and always pertinent. I can't say more without spoiling what is a deep and moving portrait. Now, when in doubt, read Shirley Jackson is a great life hack, I think. But in the context of dark academia, this is a true gem. Highly recommended. And there are other older works as well. For example, there's John Knowles's A Separate Peace from 1959, which uses a story of students at a prep school during World War II as a way to think about issues of morality and patriotism and innocence and its loss. There's also Muriel Sparks' The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie from 1961, which tells the story of an iconoclastic teacher at an all-girls school, one who espouses what she identifies as education, not intrusion. This is also a story, ultimately, of betrayal. There's also Joan Lindsay's Picnic at Hanging Rock from 1967, which follows the mysterious disappearance of a group of students and the violent aftermath at a girls' boarding school, exploring issues of wealth, class, and colonialism. I could go on and on with different examples. And while I'll be talking about novels today, I should point out that dark academia stories also appear in short fiction, in television series, and films. A few thought-provoking examples of films include Dead Poets Society from 1989, which tells the tale of a maverick English teacher who challenges his students at an elite boarding school to resist the pressure placed on them by both the school and their parents to follow the rules and fulfill expectations. There's Kill Your Darlings from 2013, inspired by true events, depicting the collegiate coming of age of poet Allen Ginsberg, set against the intersection of other leading figures of the anti-conformist artistic beat generation, people like William S. Burroughs and Jack Kerouac, and a backdrop of obsession, one that leads directly to death. And Master from 2022, which is both an allegory about racism and a psychological horror film about three women who seek to find a place in an elite Northeastern university, an institution with a problematic past that also affects the present. But I've gotten ahead of myself, haven't I? What is dark academia? Let's talk about defining this genre. While there is a long tradition of dark academia storytelling, there also has been an unprecedented explosion of dark academia publishing, starting around 2016 and continuing to this day. So, as we work through the definition of dark academia, I'll also be sharing some recommendations from the current boom of dark academia works. If we look at novels frequently listed and labeled as dark academia, as well as those directly identified by their writers and publishers as dark academia, we can extrapolate a definition. We will see that the genre rests on the foundation of four key cornerstones. The first is academia. As the term suggests, works of dark academia connect in some vital way to the project of academia. Main characters are or were students or faculty members. The story may be set at or involve a non-residential school or boarding school, a college or university campus, or a related space, such as a private library or laboratory. Dark academia tales emphasize research and learning. This might include the study of traditional or taboo academic subjects, the investigation of a campus or personal mystery, or simply the discovery of how to navigate the formal and informal, and often problematic, system of the institution or culture. Here is one reason why you should read dark academia. Everyone has experienced school of some kind or another. We might not all have gone to, say, an Ivy League university, but that doesn't matter. We've all been at a school. It's a relatable experience. It's an intense pressure cooker. It's the world distilled or concentrated. And you know going in, it's supposed to be transformative. You're not supposed to be the same person when you leave you were when you came in. And this transformative and intense and relatable experience makes it fitting for storytelling. Also, in academia, we are supposed to be asking big questions, and that allows the literature about it to also ask big questions. A stellar example of this is R.F. Kuang's Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, An Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution, a 2022 work of dark academia speculative fiction. Kwong, who is a graduate of Oxford, takes on that institution's, and indeed the larger system of academia as a whole, its complicity in imperialism, and how that complicity affects communication and knowledge. Kwong does this by creating a fantastical alternate universe version of the University of Oxford and giving us the points of view of a diverse set of students studying and conducting research at its Royal Institute of Translation. There are big questions here about the discovery and dissemination of knowledge, and about power, and about what the act of translation even means. Kwong interrogates language and power and scholarship in this best-selling and award-winning novel. The next ingredient of dark academia storytelling is the Gothic. In his introduction to the Cambridge Companion to Gothic Fiction, which he edited, Gerald E. Hogel admits to the difficulties inherent in studying the Gothic tradition, given, quote, how pliable and malleable this type of fiction making has proven to be, stemming as it does from an uneasy conflation of genres, styles, and conflicted cultural concerns, end quote. A description well suited to dark academia itself. Hogel does, however, identify key features of the Gothic, and from his description, we may construct a useful checklist to apply to dark academia. It seems clear that dark academia employs the Gothic imagination, and dark academia works generally display at least three, if not all four, of the chief Gothic characteristics Hogel enumerates. According to Hogel, Gothic stories are rooted in setting and, quote, antiquated or seemingly antiquated space, end quote, such as a campus with its signature architecture, atmosphere, and claustrophobia. Absorbed with the past, either in general as a subject of study or with a recent personal past. Associated with secrets that are either physically or psychologically haunting. And involved with the blurring of the boundary between the natural and supernatural, quote, often siding with one of these over the other in the end, but usually raising the possibility that the boundaries between these may have been crossed, at least psychologically, but also physically, or both, end quote. This last ingredient may not appear in all mundane works of dark academia, but it applies to many dark academia works of science fiction, fantasy, and horror. In short, the same genre-defying tendency that makes the Gothic a parent genre of many others also makes dark academia a natural vehicle for cross-genre or multi-genre storytelling. And another point, I would add, because the Gothic formula relies on the hidden and the secret, many Gothic protagonists from whom knowledge has been kept are by nature outsiders, without the same privilege or power as others around them. Similarly, many dark academia protagonists are outsiders, non-elites or the uninitiated who do not belong to, and thus observe all the more keenly the culture or system in which they find themselves. Now, that outsider point of view, the insights that come from exploring the idea of the past haunting the present, these are more reasons why you should read dark academia. Like the Gothic, dark academia is a flavor, it's a seasoning. It works well with other genres and traditions, and it provides a different perspective. A great example of this is Catherine House from 2020 by Elizabeth Thomas. This is really a go-to dark academia recommendation for me. I recommend this all the time. The secluded elite American university, where experiments take place without accountability, is in itself a haunted house, in a way, in Catherine House. Students are brought there to take part in an innovative curriculum that seems to guarantee a remarkable level of future success. But at what cost? One rebellious undergraduate asserts agency against a system intending to control and use her. She tries to uncover the layers of secrets around this exclusive institution and its history and its power. And, well, it doesn't get more gothic than that. Thomas considers the nature of science, consent and control, and yes, even life and death. The metaphors in the science fiction novel work on many levels. A third ingredient in dark academia storytelling is mood. Dark academia really earns the dark in its name. Its tales emphasize atmosphere and involve tragedy, an otherwise standard impulse, for example, loyalty to a group of friends or mentor, interest in a specific subject of study, or dedication to independent projects, may become obsessive and spiral out of control. Dark academia stories highlight the theme of death in some way, such as depicting a morbid fascination with death, controversial research aimed at thwarting death, the destruction of reputation, a kind of social death, or the death of opportunity, or the death of dreams, or a school-related disappearance, murder, or suicide. Mortality is something we all share. It's a universal human theme, and exploring it is another reason you should read Dark Academia. Another novel I highly recommend is The Call from 2016 by Pater O'Gillion, the first book in a now completed duology, a dystopian boarding school story set during a long ago displaced and dispossessed population's new attack on Ireland's young people. I won't say more about the fantastical premise, lest I spoil the magic of the story, literally and figuratively. The novel depicts Ireland's resulting choice to train its youth in language and history, as well as battle tactics, at survival colleges, as these young people face imminent peril. The Call offers a meditation on how a people's history, even, or maybe especially, an ignored one, returns to them to become a living thing, one that can mean their death. It's a deeply insightful and moving read. A fourth ingredient in dark academia storytelling is critique. Dark academia stories interrogate power dynamics, often shining a spotlight on exclusivity, privilege, inequality, and hypocrisy. Campus-specific problems, such as faculty members abusing their power, students bullying their classmates, secret societies acting with impunity, cliques pursuing their own agendas, and institutions resting on morally dubious foundations. Well, these represent larger concerns about injustice in society. In other words, dark academia uses the intense and atmospheric backdrop of academia to address issues that, while often shown in high relief in that setting, are also universal. The critique is the heart of dark academia storytelling, and it's a great reason to read in this genre. Now let's pause and talk about the dark academia aesthetic for a minute. This critique at the heart of the storytelling genre sets it apart from the online aesthetic movement, also known, rather confusingly, as dark academia, a trend involving everything from fashion and home decor to photography and paper dolls. Compared to the literary genre, the Tumblr, Instagram, and TikTok phenomenon is a newcomer, only dating back to the mid-2010s and gaining attention from the mainstream, for example, from the New York Times, in 2020. Contrary to the timeliness of dark academia fiction, which often deals with current-day, ripped-from-the-headlines issues, The aesthetic is rooted in the imagined past, a social media-driven fascination with a seemingly quaint, cozy pre-internet era. The phenomenon draws its inspiration from a select number of dark academia genre stories, but often these stories are set in the before times, if you will, or in fantastical versions of them, distanced from an easily appearing exotic to audiences today. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good atmospheric photo of a well-stocked library. I want to disappear into it. But this is not the same thing as dark academia genre storytelling. Although there exists some overlap between readers of the genre and consumers of the aesthetic, there are vital differences in the projects each represents. The aesthetic seems to glamorize some of the same problematic aspects of academia that the genre interrogates, generating nostalgia for a romanticized pastime and cozy setting, celebrating and perhaps even fetishizing an idealized view of the elitist, exclusionary, and often dangerous world that the genre routinely paints as disturbing and threatening. Perhaps it's understandable that this aesthetic trend exploded during the start of the COVID-19 epidemic, which disrupted many students' normal school experiences worldwide and forced a reliance on the virtual. The pandemic began in a time when many craved an intriguing past or place, some steps removed from real peril, and made retro, low-tech, safe, charming, and inspiring, even fantastical. But this is worth drawing a line under. While the aesthetic seems to dwell on the idealized, the genre engages with a more challenging and recognizable reality. Now let's get back to discussing dark academia storytelling. Ashley Winstead, author of the dark academia novel In My Dreams I Hold a Knife from 2021, affirms in her 2021 Salon article, Dark Academia and Debt, University Thrillers Are the Literary Subgenre of the Student Loan Crisis, that, quote, while the dark academia subculture, that's the aesthetic, can at times glorify college, critique has also been endemic to the genre, part of its DNA, end quote. The critique inherent in dark academia is not a recent trend. It appears consistently throughout the history of the genre. That said, dark academia creators and critics appear to be taking new notice of how effectively recent works deliver incisive and timely political and social commentary. As Adiba Jagardar explains in her 2021 Book Riot article, What is Dark Academia and Why is it so popular? Quote, a lot of dark academia published in recent years is speaking back to the romanticization of academia and its Eurocentrism. We see this in books like Ace of Spades from 2021 by Farida Abike Emide, which is described as Get Out meets Gossip Girl, and follows the only two black students in an elite school being targeted by aces, an anonymous texter who seems to be driven by a racist system. We can also see this with Alexa Dunn's latest novel, The Ivies from 2021, which seemingly draws inspiration from the 2019 college admissions bribery scandal. Books like these are not using academics as a backdrop for the mystery or murder at the heart of the story, but as a way to explore the seedy underbelly of academia itself, end quote. Again, I want to emphasize this critique is the most important and best reason you should read Dark Academia. Nina Revoir, author of the Dark Academia novel A Student of History from 2019, noted this while a guest speaker at the Dark Academia, a panel discussion, live event on October 7th, 2021. Authors interrogate and critique the academy as the world in miniature, and in so doing, the larger world it represents, Not because its cause is hopeless, she said, but because, and I quote, it could be so much better than it is, end quote. This critique, this makes this a genre of hope. Many of the authors of dark academia not only were students, but also are educators and scholars. They're not giving up on academia or its big questions or the world around it. They're trying to make things better. Allow me to provide another example. Both The Buttonfield by Gail Hush from 2014 and Killingly by Catherine Buettner from 2023 are deeply compelling dark academia works inspired by the same real-life campus tragedy, the unsolved disappearance of student Bertha Mellish from the Mount Holyoke College campus in 1897. These novels attack that mystery from very different angles. The Buttonfield offers a deep dive into the imagined mind of Bertha Mellish, and Killingly offers a fictional study of those she left behind. But both are focused on the question of how a student could disappear, what that disappearance means, who is responsible, and how we could avoid such a tragedy in the future. In short, both of these novels show how dark academia works grapple with disturbing questions and also offer timely and actionable critique. And in so doing, both The Buttonfield and Killingly honor the memory of the missing. And just to underscore the range of powerful stories in this new explosion of dark academia, let me transition from talking about two works of crime fiction for adult readers to a young adult fantasy. Legendborn from 2020 by Tracy Dion, the first in a dark academia series, follows high schooler Bree in the early college program on the campus of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill as she works through her grief about and investigates the mystery of her mother's death, and in the process discovers her own inherited and unique strengths. This novel is many things. It's an Arthurian romance. It's a feminist coming-of-age novel. It's an adventure fantasy. But the power of its dark academia critique comes from its depiction of a Black teenager coming into her power on a campus that connects to her family and her own dreams, but also a campus that was built by slaves, a campus that sports statues of slaveholders, a campus that yields power to a secret society whose members do not look like her. Who has access to their past? Who gets to ask questions and know answers? Whose power is considered legitimate? These are big issues. Like many other dark academia authors, Tracy Dion is writing about the history, legacy, strengths, and weaknesses of a school from which she graduated. Her celebration and her critique are informed by her own experiences at the school, and at the same time, they yield insights that apply far more broadly as well. Legendborn is an exciting and empowering tale that exemplifies how contemporary and how flexible the dark academia tradition is. So, dark academia is not only a diverse, genre-bending and genre-blending storytelling tradition crossing middle grade, young adult, new adult, and of course mainstream adult categories, but also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that it's also a global literature, with international works increasingly accessible to English reading audiences. Here are just a few powerful examples. Vita Nostra by Ukrainian authors Marina and Sergei Diachenko, first published in 2007, translated into English in 2018. A remarkably cerebral and unique fantasy, the first of a trilogy of dark academia novels. Confessions by Japanese author Kane Minato, first published in 2008, translated into English in 2014. Powerful critique wrapped up in a shocking thriller. and 4 by 4 by Spanish author Sarah Mesa, originally published in Spanish in 2012, translated into English in 2020. A dark nightmare about power and powerlessness. The list could go on. The point is that you should read not only dark academia, but international dark academia. Dark academia in translation. So, I hope something I've said here convinces you to dive in. The dark academia publishing is enjoying remarkable success, and this new wave is producing some powerful works that have both timeless and timely commentary to share with us, to challenge us and make us think, to invite us to act. If you are looking for a starting place, 2 foundational texts that changed the landscape, I would say, for dark academia. The Secret History by Donna Tartt from 1992 is a whodunit crime fiction, set 9 years after the narrator's experience studying classics at the elite Hampton College. The prologue depicts the pivotal murder of one student by his group of friends. The first part of the novel then sets up the cause for the murder, while the second part follows the mental deterioration and tragedy of the group in the murder's aftermath. Waking the Moon by Elizabeth Hand from 1994 is a fantasy epic that follows an ancient, mythical, and gendered struggle for power that unfolds against the backdrop of a modern university and its administration, faculty, students, and secret societies, told from the perspective of an outsider student who doesn't know about the conflict until she finds herself in the middle of its sinister unfolding. Both novels are big ideas novels with deep ties to history and mythology and the study of each. With the stories we tell about ourselves and our purpose. Both novels give critiques, issue warnings, and invite serious thought. Both novels have tangible legacies in the genres of mystery and crime fiction and fantasy, respectively. But both are also incredibly important dark academia novels. Together, they really set the stage and provide the intellectual and artistic foundation for today's contemporary explosion of dark academia works. So, let's recap. Why should you read dark academia? You have so many choices. Classics and contemporary works, different flavors, from mystery and crime fiction to fantasy and science fiction, young adult or mainstream adult fiction. And there are diverse voices reflecting different compelling experiences. Dark academia gives us a recognizable setting, one with which we can identify, and one that many of us love, the bookish, academic, scholarly world with its big questions and its searches for answers. My fellow nerds and geeks unite. Dark academia invites us to empathize with outsider points of view and take a walk on the dark side, contemplating themes relevant to each of us, such as death. Most importantly, dark academia critiques injustice, highlighting abuses and problems we can address. Dark academia talks on universal topics of pressing importance. In short, dark academia works interrogate the world around us and ask us to do better. Dark academia entertains, but it also challenges. It gives us new points of view, inviting us to exercise both our reason and our empathy, and it critiques in the effort to build a more just and better tomorrow. I hope you will read some. Thank you.